be 100% right.
That's cool.
It is interesting, yeah. All right, people. So today we have Mari on. I'm saying today as this is our first video for Hyeland Project, and I am interviewing Mari. Mari is one of our vanguard. Mari's family, Sevan and Mari, are one of our vanguard movers to Tennessee for Hyeland Project. To be more exact, they haven't moved yet, but they came and visited Tennessee to see if it's a good fit for them. And today I want to interview Mari as to what was the impression, how she liked the Upper Cumberland region, what did she like most, which city out of the few cute towns she liked most, and what are their plans in moving forward. And for those of you who don't know what Hyeland Project is, we basically, Sevan and I partnered to launch this voluntary project to create an Armenian community in a rural part of United States, because we have a lot of Armenian community in LA, in Boston, in New York, in New Jersey, a lot of big cities. But we actually, when I was trying to find an Armenian community in rural parts, because I like to be in nature, I want to grow my own food, I was really having a hard time finding that. It was really impossible to find a community. So what I did is I just gave up on that, and of course I just did state shopping, moved around, and finally settled in a place that provides us with good property taxes, good freedom ranking rights, no income tax, good gun rights. Basically, it is a place I settled thinking this is the most freedom I'm going to get in United States, as we are increasingly losing some freedoms all around the globe. So with that introduction, I want to invite Mari in. And hi, Mari. How are you?
Hi, Naira. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. It was really nice to have you guys over and, go around with you, meet the kids,
Yeah.
and show you around. And of course, you guys did a lot of digging on your own and went around Tennessee, all the different towns, some towns that I haven't even been in. So I'm curious to hear what your thoughts were.
Yes, we try to do our best in like looking at all the towns and just make sure that we've covered our bases in the Upper Cumberland region. And of course, you gave us a lot of tips on like where to go and what are the best towns to look at, which ones are a must look at. So that was really good. Thanks for that.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
appreciate having you to help us and guide us while we were there. Yeah, so we just like
Before
yourself,
actually,
we have been.
before we jump in, sorry, actually introduce yourself a little bit. Like, Armenians are from all over the place. Our
Yeah,
diaspora is so spread out. Maybe you talk a little bit about your background, and then we'll
yeah,
get into the Upper Cumberland.
yeah. So I've married Savan. He's American. I grew up in London, in the United Kingdom, and we lived together for the first like 4 or 5 years in Europe, and we moved to America together because he's got family here. So we wanted, as we had our first child. Now we have two. We decided like it's better to be closer to family. That's the reason why we moved here. And of course, like America is probably one of the most free countries in the world as of now.
Still, for now.
Still, it might be changing slowly, but I think as of now, at the moment, it still is. So we've been living here for about 2 years together, and we have been, stage shopping just like yourself, and trying to find the best place for us to raise a family, and just in general to get the, best possible life we can. So that's why we've been looking around, and actually we moved to Richmond, Virginia. Almost a year and a half we've been here so far, and it's been good. I have no major complaints. It's been quite good. It's been comfortable. We can see ourselves having a quite comfortable life here, but we have both have been feeling like a temporary kind of we've both had temporary feelings about Richmond. It's not quite settled in our hearts, and we don't feel very settled. And usually, when you listen to your intuition, you know, I think it's time for us to move. So that's why
And
we
and what are you
started
looking
looking at Tennessee.
Yeah, and what are you looking for in a state? Like when you're state shopping, what are some metrics you're looking at? What are some research you're doing? Like what's important to you?
So, as a family with young children, I think our priorities are safety, number one, the low cost of living, low taxes, freedom, um, a great place to raise your children, um, good schools all around. Nature is quite important to us, and that's one of the big reasons we are looking at that, you know, that region in Tennessee. The nature there is just so beautiful. There are so many state parks and wonderful places for hiking. If you are a very outdoorsy person and you enjoy outdoor activities, it's a great place. So while we were there, we did do some of that, a fair share of that. And we were just gobsmacked at how beautiful the area is, very mountainous, and it reminds me of Armenia.
It is actually so close to the Dilijan region of the it looks, if you
Yes.
take pictures of Tennessee and the Armenian highlands of that green lush area, it's impossible to distinguish the difference actually, because it's just very treed, very diverse type of
Mm-hmm.
tree species. It's not like just, let's say in Oregon you can distinctly see just pine trees, a lot of evergreens, whereas like here it's such a lush jungle. There's a fun fact actually about Tennessee forest. I probably should fact check this before I repeat, but I've heard it from multiple enough people where I'm just like trusting the locals know what they're talking about. But someone told me, who was actually his historian or more like an archaeologist, he said that Tennessee, a single square mile of Tennessee forests have more species of trees than all of Europe combined.
Wow.
Yeah, and to
There
be
you go.
honest, you can feel that when you enter an actual lush forest. You're just like, whoa, this feels like the jungles of, I don't know, Amazon or something. It's very surprising. I didn't know this. I had this misconception about Tennessee that it's kind of like,
Yeah.
I thought it was very swampy, kind of like Louisiana or whatever. I had the complete misconception of Tennessee until I decided to look into the climate and the research, and then I was like, wait, I need to visit the state.
It's totally the opposite of swampy. Actually,
Yeah.
where we are living now in Richmond, that's swampy. Swampy. It was a
Yeah.
swamp. Yeah.
To be
Yeah, it's
fair,
quite
to be
swampy.
fair, it is humid because there's so much moisture from the lushness and the greenery, and it rains like good amount. For those who are very interested in the climate, and I know we have some actually people interested who live in Oregon, so maybe if they get to see this, it will help them out. Oregon is very rainy and lush, and it's beautiful there. However, when Oregon rains, it doesn't know, the clouds do not go away. It just
Kind of like
drizzles.
London.
Exactly, like London.
Yes.
The sky feels like it's just dropping lower and lower and lower, and it's just so gray, so evenly gray, that it's just extremely depressing for me, at least. Some
Yes.
people love
I
it,
feel the
but
same way. I feel the same way.
yeah,
I was never happy with the UK climate.
yeah,
With the like, I always hated the gloomy, cloudy days, and it would just go on and
it
on and on.
affects you.
Yeah, it does. It really
Yeah,
does.
and here
I
what's
used to have like
beautiful.
the seasonal, what is it called? SAD, seasonal
Yes,
sad
it's
disorder.
sadness. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I, yeah.
Sad. Yeah, yeah.
And I
Sounds
just
about
couldn't
appropriate.
wait for summer to come so I could just get out of the country and
Yeah,
go somewhere,
yeah.
somewhere sunny.
No, no, I
Because in
agree. Here
summer
it
you,
doesn't stick around. That's the beauty about here.
yeah,
It rains just about as much. That's how we have these lush forests. But it comes, it dumps, and it goes. Within one day, you will see absolutely like majority of the day. It can show rain in the forecast, but it will come and go, and you will still enjoy the day. And that's what's really beautiful about here. But it does get humid every now and then. But it's overall just so. Well, for me, it's like a plus because
yeah.
it's good for the
I
skin.
remember that was one of my great concerns because like a couple of years ago when we were deciding where to move to. At the time, we were in New Jersey with Sevan's family because we had just arrived to the United States and we didn't know where to go yet, so we were still state shopping. That was a like middle point. We did go down to the Tri-Cities in Tennessee. So Tennessee has been on our radar for quite some time. I remember when we were still living in Europe, we were researching. We did speak about Tennessee because we were shopping for like low income tax, low property tax possible places to live in the South.
No income. I don't think there's low income tax in any
income,
state. No
yeah.
income tax. Yeah.
Low income tax, low property tax, just in general, low taxes, low cost of living,
Opportunities to invest. I know Sevan has mentioned.
Yeah, so Tennessee has been on our radar for quite some time, and we did make a trip 2 years ago prior to moving to Richmond to the Tri-Cities, which is on the most like northern eastern north part, bordering Virginia, and the climate there was just not what I liked because it was raining all the time. I think we were there for maybe like, I don't know, 7-8 days, and it rained for 6 days out of that. And I was like, I can't live in a place where it
like I'm done with London.
I'm done with London. I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, actually,
the sunshine. Let's go to Florida.
Yeah, those 2 years ago you guys were visiting. We happened to be visiting at the same time. That's how we actually even created a contact, right?
Yes.
And
you guys were looking in the same region also, right?
Exactly.
We were far off.
Yes, we were looking in Knoxville, and you guys were a little bit more east even. And what I noticed, which is fascinating, that it can change so quickly, just from Knoxville to Gatlinburg, which is an hour, maybe 2 maximum, it just rains so much more. It's just a completely different climate, because I think it's just that where the Appalachian Mountains are really just more prominent, and it's a completely different climate. But here where we are, just to give a little bit of a background to the viewers, the Upper Cumberland region is perfectly situated between Knoxville and Nashville, which are the 2 big cities of Tennessee. And Nashville has an international airport, so one of the criteria that I was looking for myself was to be near the airport, because I do like traveling. And also most Armenians actually would end up having families here and there. Not that, I'm bringing my entire family here, so I'm not going to care about that portion, but I do like to travel to Armenia or to Europe. And this is perfectly like just 1 hour away from Nashville International Airport. And also, depends where you are in the Upper Cumberland, you can be even closer, but still kind of protected by the mountains from the winds and tornadoes that happen in the Nashville area or Middle Tennessee. So this is kind of basically that middle ground where the mountains are not so aggressive like in the east side, and it's also not flat and boring like on the west side. It's just the perfect kind of Tuscany-esque rolling hills, some mountains, some hiking. So it's a little bit of everything, and it's just was a perfect fit for me. And looks like, I think Mari and her family ended up liking that quite a bit as well, from what I understood.
Yes, like I still have family in London, so that's one of the criteria. Wherever we move to, we have to have an international airport close by, because my family likes to visit, especially now that we've got kids. They want to see the kids all the time and spend time with them. So we do have an international airport close by to us. It's like half an hour away. But Nashville is very close and very convenient. It's a huge airport, I believe, and so it's great for anyone who finds that important to have an airport close by.
Yeah,
and be connected to the rest of the Armenians.
And
we're literally everywhere.
We are too spread out. And I think every Armenian that moves here, they will have someone in LA or in East Coast or in Armenia. Exactly.
I've got family in LA, and of
Europe,
course, like be able to visit us. And not have to drive 3 hours or whatever to, come.
Yeah. And 1 hour
Vis-
or less is very doable because it's not like you're doing flying, unless you're a business person who's flying every week, that's not an issue.
yeah,
Let's jump a little bit
exactly.
into the Upper Cumberland. So, I will put this image on the screen here. With the graphic that I created, it's kind of highlights Smithville is a central lake town, and then there's Cookeville, which is a larger town. McMinnville lower on the lower part, which is a cute historic town. Also Sparta, which is very small, lots of opportunities of growth. But this is for entrepreneurs, not like families who just want amenities, right? Cookeville would be more of the bigger city here, and I just wanted to jump into that. Those cities, because those were the main cities highlighted, but I know you also did Monterey, I believe, or something. So maybe just going to city by city a little bit, what you liked, and later, what are your guys' plans to? Those are two questions, but what are your guys' plans, and what did you end up deciding?
Yeah, so for us as a family with young kids, it's quite important to be in a bigger city, with amenities for it to be accessible to us, because we have young kids and we're interested in schools, we're interested in activities for the kids, and just in general to be more comfortable and everything to be accessible and not have to drive long distances, because there's just not that much time during the day to be doing all that stuff. So the main towns that you suggested for us to visit, I think it was like Smithville, Cookeville, and McMinnville, which we did all three. And we also looked at the smaller towns surrounding those. I believe they're all in different counties. Um, but they're not
Yes.
very far from each other, because that area is quite small. Like you can drive from town to town and just like within, I don't know, 10, 15
Yes.
minutes. It's
And
not
worth
very
probably
big.
mentioning, the Smithville is in DeKalb County, which is a smaller county, a lot more lax about certain rules and laws. And then there's Putnam County, which is where Cookeville is. And then I believe McMinnville falls in. Ooh, I don't know on top of my head. I don't remember the McMinnville one because I got fixated a bit more in Smithville and Cookeville area myself.
Yeah, that
But
area is very beautiful, by the way. There's the
yeah,
lake there, and there
the
are
lake is
some,
awesome.
yeah, it's very beautiful. For us, I quite liked Cookville, because of the fact that it's bigger and it has more to offer. There are more activities and more amenities, more choice of groceries as well. Um, Also, there are more options for housing. It is a university town, so it's quite busy wherever you go. It's a very walkable town. I think that's very important to mention for those who like
It's a
to
very
be
cute
in bigger
downtown.
towns. Yeah, because I think some of the other smaller towns, it's not very walkable. You have to get in your car and drive around everywhere.
Yeah.
But if you like walking, and I'm sure a lot of people do, like people coming from bigger cities, they appreciate that about the bigger cities,
Yeah.
the fact that you can, walk to everywhere, get your exercise in.
Yeah.
So it's a very walkable city. There are so many small businesses that was very charming about Cookville. There's like countless restaurants, cafes, bars, everything, you name it. So that was quite nice about Cookville. And there are more school options, obviously, because it is a bigger town. I'll talk a little bit about McMinnville, because I think that's the other, like the next bigger one after
Yeah.
Cookville.
Yeah.
And that was really charming. We quite liked it, actually. Uh, Sevan and I were in a disagreement, not in a disagreement per se, but I think he was leaning more towards McMinnville, whereas I was more like all about Cookville because of the size. But it is a really, really charming town, McMinnville, and you can still, there's still amenities. Um, yeah, so and then Smithville, we did like Smithville a lot. As I mentioned, it's a very beautiful place to live in, and that's the reason why you've settled there. Um, but I did find that there's a lot less to do for families and kids. So yeah, Cookville is definitely on the top of my list.
So yeah, Smithville is a much smaller town for anyone listening. It's so small that okay, you have pretty much two grocery stores. There will be basically a Walmart, which almost every town sadly has, and then there's a Food Lion for the groceries, and then you do have just about every amenity as far as like your auto parts store, your I don't know, small mom and pop shops, your your downtown soap soap
It has a
store with
very,
essential
very
oils.
cute little
Yeah,
downtown, by the way. Yeah, with a couple of coffee shops and a couple of
yeah.
stores here and there. But it is quite small, yeah.
It is very small. It won't have your karate schools. It won't have, it doesn't have a hospital. Cookville has a hospital, right? Like
Mhm.
multiple. So
I
Smithville
think
is more of a.
McMinnville also has a
It has?
hospital too.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
It's possible.
Don't quote me on that, but I think it does. Yeah.
Possible. I know Cookville for sure definitely does. Cookville is more of a build-up town at this point. It has just about anything. It has the health stores, the gyms, the just housing is blooming, hospitals. It probably has a small airport too, I believe. I don't know how functional it is,
Yeah,
but
and it
probably.
was quite apparent that it's growing outwards. We saw a lot of construction on the outside of Cookville,
Mhm.
like along the east and the south. So it's a growing place.
It is. And what's good about
Yeah.
Cookville is, like you said, if you want to live close to downtown area, which can seem both straight in the city and also feel like more suburbia, right? Like, but you can walk very easily. But you can also live 10-minute drive away and have like acres of land as your home, and that's it gives a lot of opportunity for people to find what they're actually looking for. Is it nature and peace and quiet? Is it walkability? Is it both? You're close to amenities, but at the same time you can go back home and you're secluded in nature. So it's a nice town for sure. That's how I got my parents to get excited about Tennessee. They were not at first, and when they saw Cookville, they're like, "Oh my god," because the
Yeah.
downtown, historic
I
downtown,
actually
is
felt the
really
same way
pretty.
because when I first went to the first place we went to was Smithville because our Airbnb was in Smithville. We were just like 10, 15 minutes away from the downtown, staying somewhere like near the lake.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first place we visited on our first day, and I was just like, "Oh, this is really
A bit small.
small. What am I going to do with the kids? What are they going to be up to?" Because my son goes to swimming, and he goes to gymnastics, he goes to art classes, music, this and that. You have to occupy them with all these
Yes.
activities. I was like, "Oh, let me go on Google and see what there is in this town," and I was like, "Oh, nothing." But
Nothing
everything's
of that
in
sort. Yeah.
Cookville. Nothing of that sort. Yeah, exactly. So I think for families um, such as ourselves, Cookville is definitely more interesting to look at.
Yeah.
So don't be disgruntled if you search up Smithville or any other
Yeah,
smaller towns in
no,
the
that's why we
area.
want to make sure people understand like there's the different size cities in the Upper Cumberland and find
Hmm.
what they're looking for, because Smithville is very small because it's a boat town, it's a lake town, right? The lake is not your average lake when it's just around whatever puddle of water. It's completely goes and branches within mountains. If you look at the map of the lake, it's so impressive. It feels more like a river. It's a boat town. There's a lot of boats, boat storages, people with trucks and boats. So it's definitely has this impressive lake. It's even more impressive that I actually learned that U.S. Army Corps created that. It's really a giant energy dam. So and we've seen the dam as well. We went, and it's just impressive what men could create sometimes, and then it's really
Yeah.
weird to look at what's happening now today, and it feels like everything is going this lazy route of like everything is cheaper, less strong, like houses don't last 20 years, and it's just somehow we've fallen off that
We're taking
edge.
shortcuts. and we're
Yeah.
regressing.
And of course, it's understandable. Like, population is increasing, costs of things are rising, and inflation and this and that. They obviously find the cheapest, best way to accommodate everybody. But then we become too efficient to a degree where we lose charm and beauty and, strength and quality. And, even in fabric, it's all polyester and fake stuff. Instead, you can't find cotton
Synthetics.
shirts anymore. Well, you can, but it's just not.
You pay
It,
more though for
you pay more, but
cotton
also you
than
have to
the
go really
natural.
looking for it, specifically
Yes.
looking for it. And yeah. But anyway, so Smithville is a smaller town. I think it would be great for those who just really want the peace and quiet, nature. They love water. There's room for a lot here in this small town. But then Cookville obviously has already built up. It has the charming downtown.
Yeah.
It has the
Hmm.
cute little ice cream shop that uses local milk from town to make their ice cream in house, and like this kind of stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Exactly.
yeah. Let me see
And
what.
it has all the different types of housing, that people might look into, like the condos or the
True.
townhomes, or
Apartments,
just the
if you're
apartments,
into
or
that.
a bit further out, you find your family home on a few acreage of land. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's got a mix of everything. And yeah, I think if you would prefer a bigger town, then definitely look into Cookville, and I think you could find whatever you're looking for, really.
Okay. So I think this is a good talk. So we definitely uncovered that you liked out of them Cookville more for a variety of reasons. We went over a lot, so this is helpful, I think, for anyone who's interested in the project or in moving. The project is just, hey, come here.
Yeah,
We're trying to build a community. If you want a community, if Armenian values matter to you, come over here and let's build a community. That's literally it. There's nothing else.
yeah,
There's not much else. And I do think one thing that we need to probably think about at some point which is difficult, and there's obviously investment needs to be made, but a lot of Armenians looking for Armenian communities, they try to find a church, right? Because we usually
hmm,
huddle around Armenian churches, and we probably need to build a church and put it in Google, and then so
yes,
that people can
exactly.
find. But
When you get to a certain number of families, then it's time for a church. I think the number
exactly,
is
and we might
around
be able to find
100 to
investors too.
200.
With all that, I will let's we can wrap up the interview with maybe any last words that you think is useful for people who are looking to move or trying to find a new community or a new place. What did you find useful or helpful, or you wish you did, or any last words that comes to mind?
I would say, mentioning Nashville as a possible place to live, or anywhere like closer to Nashville. Um, the I think a deterrent would be the tornado, the fact
Yes.
that they get hit by tornadoes. And maybe you could speak a little bit about this, but we have chosen this eastern region specifically because there are no tornadoes.
There's a really good data capturing 50 years of the tornado paths and how the wind hits the states. And where we are in the Upper Cumberland, this is not part of the tornado alley at all. Above Cookville, even where the winds hit, it's still not the tornado alley. It's called Dixie Alley, so it's a lot softer technically, but it does do damage especially if you have a bad quality cheap built house with vinyl siding. If you build a good house, you'll be fine basically. But at the same time, if you're wanting to grow crops or whatever, it's still annoying to get hit by a wind. You don't want that, obviously. So my parents in Texas just now, right, like they got hit really badly, and it just tore off the fence. It just broke a lot of trees, and it's just so unnecessary. It's just more work. Why? So Nashville gets hit by tornadoes. I personally would not live I lived in Nashville for a year, and I did not encounter any problems. But it's like people live there knowing that at some point it might hit them, and it might never hit you. Obviously, you can't plan your life around it, but at the same time it's often enough, and every year, multiple times a year, where you're like, why would I want to live in a place like that? It's a very charming, beautiful town, though, very vibrant. It feels like mini country version of New York. Like, I really liked Nashville, but I didn't want to be in the wind alley, in the tornado alley. I did want to be away from all that. I do want to create full sustainability, be protected from winds, have crops growing, not to have to rebuild, even if it's a greenhouse. I don't want to rebuild a greenhouse every year, So Smithfield, DeKalb County, is quite protected by the winds. It's just more mountainous, and it's just gets like when you go to east, the parts we didn't like as much. That's because it's just the mountains get so aggressive, the wind does not have a chance to get there. Basically, it looks for valleys and plateaus to hit. And Cookeville is fairly protected. Like below Cookeville is protected on, and it's just like right above on the Putnam County. There's a Baxter area. That Baxter area just
we visited Baxter area. I think Baxter is like 10 minutes drive away from Cookeville, so you are very close to a big town, but the housing is much more nicer, like in my opinion, because
it's a very nice
bigger
area.
house and some land.
The Dixie Alley passes through Baxter and Allgood. You know how there's Baxter, Cookeville, Allgood. So Allgood also is a very nice area. It's funny. It's up and coming. A lot of people choose to be there. It's probably because the winds really are not that concerning. Okay. But Baxter has one specific alley, I think, that everybody knows about, that it just gets hit all the time. So I think basically if you do your research, you can easily position yourself very much close to Cookeville, in Cookeville, right outside of Cookeville, whatever it may be, but just stay off that path. And also for some people, it might not even be an issue, honestly, because again, that's not the tornado alley. It's a lot softer. It's the byproduct of the tornado, the winds.
And I would say that additionally, I would say that the area is just so, it draws you to the outside. I don't know, me and Sevan both found it like really different. In Richmond, we try to get out as much as we can, but being in that area was just different. The outside just calls you. The nature is so nice. It's like so welcoming, and you constantly have this pull and this urge to go out. So like I would say for anyone who is visiting, definitely to go and plan activities, go to state parks, enjoy the nature and experience it, because I think it's just wonderful. And it's great. Where we are living at the moment, it's quite hard to find a nice park. You have to drive like an hour to get to such nature and like such a great place. We're surrounded by beautiful nature in that area of Tennessee, so that's another reason why we really liked it.
And I think this is part of, and we'll wrap up with this, I guess. This is where the project name came about, Hyeland project. Hyeland, kind of playing on words with Armenian Highlands, Tennessee Highlands, but then, High, Hye, Armenian land. We'll just wrap up here. Thank you so much for, wanting to talk, and I'm hoping it will be helpful for people who want to just, hear if they're interested in a project, or if they want to move, or if they want to find us somehow. We probably need to figure out good ways of being out there. I don't know if we're that findable just yet, but hopefully over time.
I think you need to get more aggressive on your marketing.
That's the thing, this is a volunteer project for all of us, and there's so much time you can put into it. I would love to do a lot more, but I also think the right people will slowly find us, as long as we as long as we put out some content out there, and maybe get our website properly found. You know,
Mm-hmm.
maybe do
Yeah.
some blogs here and there, but
Are you still getting emails and like are people reaching out to you?
we had
Okay.
an initial boost somehow. I think, oh, not somehow, it's because we asked people we know to share and
Okay, you
we
were
got some
calling
interest.
around and speaking to people, and
Exactly. But
yeah,
that was definitely, it takes time. It's like a job. So and I don't think both your husband and myself, I don't think we like
you
marketing
have a
very
lot on
much.
your
We're not
plate.
a marketing people. I
Yeah,
mean, I understand marketing. I actually studied graphic design and I understand marketing really
yeah.
well, but it's just not where I would rather spend time in. So I'm hopeful that over time we'll just put some seeds in place that will blossom into.
Yeah, and hopefully, like as the interest grows and some people get excited, they'll be on board, and some people might even volunteer if they're like good at marketing. Let me
True.
take this on and like run with it and help spread the word, and you know,
Yeah.
I hope that you can grow the team a little bit.
I hope so too. I think people need to just volunteer if they find it interesting, because the thing is,
Yeah.
when you start
Mm-hmm.
marketing, that's another thing. Sometimes people think it's a business or something, and it's like
Yeah.
so completely voluntarily. We get nothing out of this. We are giving a lot to get nothing but a community out of it, and so I think when you market it, people automatically assume you want something from them, and it's just sometimes might backfire in a case like this. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
hopeful that it will naturally, the right-minded people will find, the freedom-seeking people will find.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a funnel they have to go through. So
yeah,
hopefully we'll only get good people coming.
for sure. Hey, if
Yeah.
the bad ones come, we can say you're on your own.
Go to Nashville.
Yeah, yeah, that way.
Yeah, that way. Yeah, good.
Well,
Push them
exactly.
a little bit towards the tornado, please.
Yep. Well, thank you so much.
Well,
Have a
thank you for
wonderful
having
day.
me, and this was
Yeah.
a fun discussion, talk,
Yeah.
whatever podcast.
Yeah,
We had a fun
absolutely.
chat. This was a fun chat. Thanks for having me, and I hope people watching will find it useful.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good